Okay, in this video, I'm going to cover how to create purchase orders in 1place. So first of all, just kind of a side note here, there are three major ways to create purchase orders. I'm mainly going to talk about this first one, and I will be making two separate videos to explain the sales order purchase orders and the replenished stock purchase orders. These both create purchase orders automatically for you to look at and do a final look at, but it'll put the line items on the POs for you, which I'll explain later in those videos. If you're going to create a purchase order manually, there are several ways to do that. So like in other videos of adding new records, if you click on the purchase orders, that'll pull up the purchase orders list. If you click on the new button, that will create a brand new purchase order. If you are on the list and if you click on it and open up a PO directly, an existing PO, then if you click the new button, that will also create a new PO. So now I have different ones open here, two new ones here. I'll close those. If you click on the plus and if you press Control F9 on your keyboard combination, that'll open up a new PO. If you just click on the plus and click on purchase order, that will open a new PO. So that's four different ways that you can start a PO to manually create a purchase order. You can have the numbering in the settings. You can have the numbering be manual and you can create your own PO number, or you can have it be automatic. So in this case, it's just automatically created a new PO number and it set the status to new. So I'm going to go ahead and just type a vendor by name. I can put a vendor order number if I want. PO date fills in automatically. Date expected is something I can fill in if I'd like. Payment terms fills in automatically from the vendor I selected. Ordered by, I can put in my information in here. Customer PO number, that's my PO number. Actually, that's another field you can use if you're creating this PO from a customer and what their PO number is. So that's an optional field you can use. So like creating other transactions, you can go ahead and just add the quantity that you want to order and pick the item number that you want to add. In this case, because this item was already listed as an item on this vendor, it's filled in that vendor's item number. So if I go over to the item detail screen by clicking on the magnifying glass, here's where you can see the vendors. So X vendor, that's the cost it should automatically fill in. That looks interesting. We have, that's test vendor, excuse me. X vendor, there's the vendor item number, the cost that should fill in. And so over here, here's the $11 cost that filled in, the list price. This just pulled right off of the item number. Now this is just this does not get sent to the vendor. This is just comparison information when you receive something or you see the cost and if you want to change the list price here, it will automatically update the list price on the item. If the list price needs to go up or down based on the cost, that's just a nice, quick, easy place to compare that to the list price. So skipping past all of these, here's the description. It fills in automatically. If this was related to a sales order, then that's part of what I was talking about over here with the sales order POs. There's a screen that can generate purchase orders, and it will fill in the sales order number for you. Or you can come down here and auto link. You can first start the purchase order and then create the sales order and then come and click this button to automatically find sales orders that are related to this item, which I'll show you that in the other video. Same thing with the special order price. What's the price you're going to be charging on the sales order as opposed to the cost, just for comparison purposes. Additional cost would be, and this is something that you cannot do yet, but you will be able to come over here in the near future and automatically generate additional costs. If this happened to be for a purchase order of, who knows, hundreds of items, and the cost to get those items sent to you was $5,000 or $2,000, if you wanted to distribute those costs, those additional costs, sometimes they call them landed costs. If you wanted to distribute those across all the PO line items automatically based on the quantity or the volume, things like that, you'll be able to come over here and do that, and that will automatically fill in these costs for you. And then when this line item is received into stock, you'll see that it will pull that additional cost over. And if you're ever pricing items based on a markup, let's say the cost is $11, but the additional cost that you manually type in or that gets automatically calculated, let's say that's $5. Well, then when you're marking up the price by, we'll say 20%, it's going to mark it up above $16 instead of just the 11, so that you can get a true markup of your true cost. I'll just go ahead and commit that. I think I have an item in here. I don't remember. Let's just come down here to this one. Oh, that one has a, if there's ever an item that doesn't have, let's try a different one here. Try number 7. Yeah, there we go. Here's an example of one that there is no vendor. At least this item is not yet related to this vendor. And so if I come over to this item, you will see on the vendors that they're not here. So if I come over here and I add an item number, I'll just say XAC 1107 for X vendor. And if I give it a cost, we'll say $15. Now, if I go back over to here, it's going to refresh this. And there it is. X vendor has been added automatically with their vendor item number and the cost. So that's kind of a handy little way to keep everything in sync and fill in information automatically for you. Now, like other transactions, you can resize these. You can come over and hide and unhide different columns. Maybe I don't want to see the case pack. I don't want to see the unit of measure. That just gives me more room to see other things a little bit wider. Description is always nice to have a little bit wider here. And if I have the QuickBooks syncing turned on and I save this, this will automatically drop those into QuickBooks for you with this PO number and these line items. If I click on Receive PO, it'll automatically receive everything into stock. Or I can just manually click on the received, or I can manually type in an amount that I received. It could be less than the amount. It could be the same amount. If you try to receive more, then it will prompt to have you automatically change the quantity ordered so that these stay in sync with each other. In this case, it's marked as received. And again, this is going to update QuickBooks for me. I can add more items. If the bill hasn't been created and paid, then I can continue on and add more items if I'd like. You can see here there's a place to add comments. I don't recall what makes these refresh. I do know that here there's a place for volume. There's a place for the the weight. So right now there's a little bit of a bug where it pushes this over. I'm going to close this. I'm going to press F9 because I like to use the shortcut keys for POs. F9 on my keyboard. I'll go back and open that one again. And oh, there we go. So in this case, it refreshed it afterwards. We'll change that to where it'll refresh along the way, and these will refresh as well. So this is helpful when you're trying to determine how many items are coming in or how much of a container or just how full the trailer or truck or container will be in terms of weight or volume. What else? Talked about this. If you are syncing with QuickBooks, you can come over here and just click on the bill and fill this information in, or you can say make AP bill and that'll just do it for you. It does require that you fill in these 3 fields in order to make a bill in QuickBooks. Just make an invoice number. We'll pick the date. We'll say they actually mailed it to me back on the 1st, and we'll say it's due on the 22nd. Sync. That will then drop that into QuickBooks as well. Now, if you do not want users to have these rights to do this, which is understandable, you can come over into the settings and go to, and most users will not have the right to get into the user security. I happen to have those rights. But if I come into here and I go over to allow user to create and update QuickBooks Online AP bills, you can go ahead and uncheck that if you do not want that button to be enabled. Trying to think if there's anything else I need to cover. You see that the line turns red every time something is added until it's clicked either by you or automatically as you're entering lines. It's not actually saved. And then the same thing down here. When you change the PO, this save button will turn red. So, and then the last thing I'll mention is if you have our optional scanning system and you want to see the actual scanning data of every line that came in, if you click on Show Scanning Details, it will then open a new tab and show the details of the scanning data, who did it, and so forth. Searching, you can search. Let's just say I want to search. Right now, it only searches in the item number field. We're going to expand that and have it be searched in the other fields as well, like vendor item number and description. So let's just say I think I can just type like 107. I'll find it because this has 107 in it. Maybe I want to see everything that starts with AC 1000. That'll just, in this case, there's only those 2, so it doesn't change anything. But anyways, it's a kind of a wildcard search in the item number field at this point in time. This, like other transactions, there's an audit log, who did what to what it was before, what it is after, and who did it and what time it happened. That's really helpful. We've already talked about this. If you need to see additional information for each line, then you can click this down arrow and you can see the other fields that you have decided to display, such as the date expected, the date received, the volume, credit memo, a linked credit memo, the weight, the margin between the list price and the cost, and the margin between the special order and the cost. A bin, if I typed a bin number in here and received it, it is going to pull that bin number over, and the scanning system does the same thing automatically. If you want to track a lot or serial number, you can fill that in here, and that will pull over to the actual receipt. Now, because these are received, I can come over here and go over to the stock tab, and I can see the individual details of what was received. Here's P1275 if I had a bin or a serial number. In this case, because I right here I can decide which warehouse I'm going to bring it into, and that would then pull it's this one right here. It'll pull the warehouse in that I received it into. So you see that instead of kind of going into this black box and wondering how your quantity in stock arrived at what it is and wondering how the cost arrived at what it is, these are the actual details of every shipment, what I received, how many I still have in stock on that shipment, what my cost was, any additional cost, who I got it from, the PO number, the bin, and so forth. So there's a very one-to-one connection between a line item here and a receipt over here. If I unreceive it, it'll pull the receipt off of this one. So that about does it for this training video. Hopefully this has been helpful, and I do hope you have a great day.